Fasting sounds like the easiest and fastest way to get rid of few stubborn pounds, which may explain why this dieting trend or method is so popular. It's, you know, all the celebrities talk about it, the benefits of intermittent fasting, but now nutritionists and researchers are finding that fasting may have additional health benefits, including cancer prevention. So welcome to Health Talks. I'm Laura Termini, founder of chickenall.com, and I'm speaking with Leslie Klein, a dietitian with Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center at UMiamiHealth. Thank you so much, Leslie, for your time, and let's talk about intermittent fasting today. What is intermittent fasting?
So intermittent fasting can take on different looks, but basically you pick a certain time of day that you're going to eat, and then the other hours during the day you refrain from eating, but you definitely have to stay hydrated. So during that time frame, you're drinking anything that doesn't have extra calories added to it.
Okay, so it's not only the definition of fasting, it's not only that fasting that everybody is talking about not eating after 7 p.m. and then not eating until next Monday. So it's a different, you can do it different ways.
So yeah, there are several different forms of intermittent fasting. So there's one that's called Eat, Stop, Eat. And that one, you actually pick 2 days out of the week where you basically fast and you're just drinking fluids. And then there's the 5-2 diet. So you'll have 5 normal days of eating, and then 2 of the days you limit to 500 to 600 calories a day. And then there's the intermittent fasting, which a lot of people do, where it's 8-hour window of eating and 16 hours of fasting, where you're just staying hydrated. So lots of different versions for whoever, you know, whatever fits your plan best.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I thought the fasting was only, you know, the one about the 16 hours and that's it. And sometimes I do fasting when I've been in different facilities or I've been in vacation, so I can do just 1 day without eating, just liquids, just fluids, as you said. But I didn't know that those are the other
Right.
fasting methods that we can, you know, adapt. How does fasting really impact cells in our body?
So when you're eating, the preferred source of energy is carbohydrates. Glucose is a carbohydrate. That's the sugar that everything breaks down to. When you fast, it depletes the stores of glucose.
Okay.
And that means that your insulin levels start to drop, because insulin is what the hormone that brings the glucose inside the cell where it's needed for the energy. So when the insulin levels start to drop, this triggers cellular repair. So it starts cleaning out the cell and repairing it, and that's called autophagy. And so once you start clearing out the cells, your cells are healthier, and that can lead to a lot of positive things when you're intermittent fasting.
Is that a short-term or a long-term benefit?
So a short-term benefit would be that it can help with weight loss, because first of all, if you're reducing the insulin, that actually helps with insulin resistance. And you might hear a lot of times where people say, I can't lose weight because of insulin resistance. Well, when the insulin levels are lower, it's easier to start losing weight. Now, the other short-term goal is, if you're not using carbohydrates as your energy source, you're actually burning fat.
Yes.
Well, when you burn fat, a product of burning fat is ketones, and ketones will suppress your appetite. So now it's easier to kind of stick with it and continue to lose weight. So again, that's like the short-term goal, is let me lose weight.
So, and I know that it's a big motivation, especially, you know, within my readers, they're all the time like, how can I lose some weight? Especially, you know, after this long period of time working from home. Even working from home, you would think that it's easier to be on a diet, but no, because you have the fridge just right there for you all day. So you have to really pay attention to that. Snacking and also drinking alcohol.
Right. So here's the thing. Diets don't work. There's a beginning, there's an end, there's a failure somewhere in between. And so it's really a lifestyle change. And personally, I like the consistency of the 16-hour fasting and the 8-hour window of eating. Okay. And the reason is because, first of all, you personalize it to what works best for you. So you pick your 8-hour window. So if you say, I'm going to be working from home and I really don't want to be eating from the minute I wake up until I go to bed, maybe you choose a window that's later in the day, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night. So if I don't start eating until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but I get up because I have to work and I start work at 8 o'clock, well, at 8 o'clock, I can still have coffee as long as it's black, no cream, or I can have iced tea or water, and I can kind of frame it where I'm very controlled with when I eat. So by the time 1 o'clock comes around, yeah, I might want to eat some junk, but most of the time when you've been depriving yourself, the first thing you think about is protein, and protein is to help build up your muscles. So, protein, you might be eating hard-boiled eggs or having maybe some veggies with hummus, or, making a smoothie with some Greek yogurt. So you're not really eating a lot of junk. You're really starting the day off feeling good by getting some good sources of protein in.
Like breaking the fasting, I think, is the most difficult thing to do. A lot of people ask me about, okay, once I get my 16 hours without food, what should I start eating? Is it a breakfast? Is it a lunch? Should I eat? And I think you have to be like having your mind into it, say, okay, what's my next meal? It's kind of difficult sometimes.
Right. And the thing is that, again, if you have an 8-hour window and you love breakfast, but you're not starting to eat until 1 o'clock, well, you can have breakfast for dinner if you wanted.
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with that. So that's the joy of why people can stick to intermittent fasting as easily as they can, because you have much more control. There's nothing you can't have. It's making better choices more often. And so maybe you start off with breakfast at 1 o'clock, or maybe you have lunch, or maybe you do your heavy meal at like your dinner at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because you're hungry. And then when it comes time for dinner, that's where you go a little bit later, and then you're going to go to bed anyway. So it's very individual. That's why I think it's easier to stick to, because you can put your own preferences into how you structure your window of eating.
And when it comes to the health benefits, including the cancer prevention, how intermittent fasting can help?
So we know that there are 13 cancers that have been linked to obesity. So if you're losing weight, you're automatically helping to reduce your risk of perhaps, having cancer that's been linked to obesity. Just off of the top of my head, out of the 13 would be colon cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, postmenopausal breast cancer, advanced prostate cancer. All of those have been linked to obesity. So if you can be closer to your ideal body weight, you're already reducing your risk of some of those cancers. Other benefits of intermittent fasting, it slows down premature aging. Well, we all could use that.
Yeah.
It improves cardiovascular protection. It can also reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes. And it's good for your brain too. It keeps you a little less foggy. So there's lots of good reasons why people want to do intermittent fasting rather than just because they want to lose weight. Another one is inflammation. Fat is inflammatory. When you've got inflammation, there's pain. When you've got pain, there's inflammation. If you're burning some of that fat, you're getting rid of inflammation. I mean, you could have arthritic looking fingers, but if you've used up a lot of your fat stores, they may not hurt so much. So there's lots of good benefit from intermittent fasting.
And for somebody who exercises in a regular basis, like you're fasting and then you go, like me, I wake up and I go to Pilates around, since I have my own schedule, like around 10 or 11 a.m. And I do my first meal around, like right after, I finish Pilates, I can eat a lion. So I do my fasting at that. But I think like I've been kind of like cheating on my coffee because I have coffee all morning. And I get, not the bulletproof, the other one, like regular coffee, and I get some cream, the one that it's like MTC oil.
Right.
And that, but I'm like, am I doing it right?
So I can tell you a trick.
Okay.
Because when I was trying to get rid of the cream in my coffee.
Okay.
And because I said, it's chemicals, it's empty calories, like what do I need it for? And it took me about 8 months, but I finally figured it out. I'll tell you my secret. Okay. So cinnamon is wonderful. It's an anti-inflammatory. It can help control blood sugar because of hormone balance. So I have my little Keurig coffee maker, but instead of buying the K-cups, I have my K-cup filter. I put my own coffee in there and then I sprinkle some cinnamon in. When it brews through, it gives the coffee such a wonderful flavor that you don't need the cream. And you know what? When you cut out cream in maybe 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day, you automatically lose weight if you do nothing else. Because it was empty calories that added up.
I put some cinnamon, but I always add, I put cinnamon because I love it, but I always put cream. So I have to start doing it only with the cinnamon.
Right. And it's different when you put it through the filter where it brews through versus making a cup of coffee and then shaking it on top and it just floats on the top of the cup. It tastes so much better when it actually brews through with the coffee. Yeah.
And what about people, one of the questions that a reader sent, what about intermittent fasting and keto diet at the same time?
So they work hand in hand. I'm not a huge fan of keto, to be honest. All right. We know that there's a lot of research going on. Keto actually was started for children who have had epilepsy and were having seizures. So that was the real reason for a keto diet. Now they're looking at research in cancer with brain tumors. Again, it goes to perhaps helping to reduce some of the seizures. But when you do intermittent fasting, basically, it takes somewhere between 8 to 12 hours after you've eaten for your body to stop using carbohydrates as a source of energy. And so then you switch over and start using fat. And like I said, when you start burning fat, that's when you produce the ketones. That's your keto diet right there. So if you would fast for 16 hours, you're getting a minimum of 4 hours of burning fat and possibly longer. You could be up to 8 hours where you're producing the ketones, suppressing your appetite. And so, the keto diet is really restrictive. So now you've restricted yourself with how many hours you're allowed to eat. And then within that, you're telling yourself, and I can't have anything but. So it's harder to stick to. You're really getting the keto benefits just by doing the fasting piece. So when it comes time to eating, it gives you a little bit more leeway to feel like, now I can enjoy what I want and I'm still benefiting from it.
I love that. I love that. So if you want to call UMiamiHealth for an appointment and you want to know more about intermittent fasting or any diet that you want to follow, you can call 305-243-4000. 305-243-4000. I'm going to be sharing these on social media. You can send me your questions and I will send the questions to Leslie. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.